What's up, everybody? Stacking Surfer here, and I've got a great guest for us tonight. It is a live stream, so everybody bring your questions. If you guys have questions, put them in bold. We'll try to get to that. If your question's not getting answered, sorry, guys. Too many screens opened up. All right, we're good now. Okay, if your questions aren't getting answered, you might have to do a super chat. We will see the super chats that'll come in, and that'll we'll see those. They get stored automatically. We've got our mods in here too, so hopefully everything will go well for those for the chat as well. Couple quick things. We are going to be talking about markets today. We're going to be talking about gold and silver. We'll be talking a little bit about the Vancouver
Resource Investment Conference.
So we'll talk about that a little bit too. And let me introduce our guest while we're started here. So we've got Darrell Thomas. You guys may have seen him on my channel previously, and he also has his own channel, Money Level Show. So he's got some amazing guests that he brings on in the space. He even goes beyond just precious metals. So he's got a lot of great people that come in there that can give you guys more information about what's going on in the markets, how to deal with investing, also, some of the macro trends and what's happening. And we're going to hit that today as well, because there's a lot going on today. A lot of you guys are probably either really excited about the price of silver and gold going down, or you're freaking out. And we're going to address that, and we're going to help you guys with it. But Darrell, welcome to the show.
Yes, happy to be back. It's been a while. People may remember me from the Money Level Show, my own channel. I still produce some content on there, but I also work for the Vancouver Resource Investment Conference media channel, which is called VRIC Media on YouTube, where we do a lot of interviews. You and I both interviewed Andy Sheckman. He was actually just at our conference recently, and so I got a chance to chat with him for a bit. Sometimes we hang out and such. And so it's always good to connect with the community and everything. And so, yeah, I mean, we had the conference this past weekend, which was Sunday and Monday up in Vancouver, Canada. And we had about 8,000 to 9,000 attendees. And so we have multiple companies from precious metals, dealers, bullion sales, to the miners, the miners of gold and silver, copper, different base metals, and uranium and such. And so we had multiple mining companies there. We had many different podcasts, channels there, including David Lynn, as well as ITM Trading, many others. And so, yeah, it was a really good time. Happy to share some insights from that. I was actually hosting the event. And so, and I work closely with Jay Martin, who owns the Vancouver Resource Investment Conference, and he wasn't able to be there. So I ended up hosting the event and doing some of the panels with some of the big names in the investment sector in precious metals and mining. And so happy to share some of those insights too.
That would be awesome. I want to hit all that stuff. So just for the audience real quick too, we are going to be doing some silver giveaways as well. So stay until the end for that. We've been doing these little bits. So these come from local silver mint out in New Hampshire.
Mm-hmm.
So he makes these little 10th ounce 395 pure silver bits. So we're going to do some of those. We'll probably also do a couple poker chips. I'm not a big poker player, but I know a lot of you guys like poker chips. So we'll be doing some of those as giveaways as well. If we get up to 100 thumbs up, we'll add some additional giveaways to it. So, Darrell, what I'd like to start with too is, let's start with this first. I woke up this morning. Well, a couple things. I woke up a couple days ago, and I continued to watch the move of silver and gold just keep going higher. And, I was laughing, and my wife is like, "Why are you laughing?" And I'm like, we're like making stupid, crazy amounts of money per day on paper because I'm not selling it right then. And I was just laughing at how fast I was seeing things go up. Now, anytime something goes up, it's going to have gravity that's going to start to pull it down.
Yep.
And markets are going to do that, right? And so, when I look at things, I like to look at what's happening, what are the trends that are going on, what's the technical analysis telling us. I also like to look and see what the macro situation is. Did something drastically change on the macro situation? Are we dealing with another situation that's going on right now? When I woke up this morning, I was like, wow, I was expecting that we'd probably have some kind of a pullback once we got above 100. But what I saw today was something that looked a lot more than a pullback. To me, it went into correction status, and then it started to go into a crash, and then it started to even go into bear territory, which was really crazy to see. So I didn't expect it to be that fast, and then it's come back up a little bit. But I guess the first question I have for you is, what goes on in your mind when you see something like this? Do you see this as a moment of fear? Do you see it as a moment of opportunity? What goes through your mind as an investor and as a stacker when things look like this?
Yeah, typically I view this as an opportunity because just studying some of the investment greats, such as Warren Buffett, be fearful when others are greedy, be greedy when others are fearful. So that's kind of my investment approach. And, it also goes back to the conviction and why you're holding the metal. So obviously silver and gold have been money for thousands of years, and if you're holding it as insurance, then the day-to-day price action in dollars should not phase you, not one bit. Now if you're holding it as an investment where you're trying to make a quick buck, then you may be concerned with that. But ultimately we see the fiscal situation in the United States. If you're a U.S. citizen, I mean, we're approaching 39 trillion in debt. The deficits continue to get blown out the water and such. And so I think President Trump just raised the military budget 500 billion.
Yeah,
So,
that's
it's just like, okay, well, we know that the currency is going to be debased even more. And so the debasement trade is still on, like it hasn't reversed. I just think that whenever I'm looking at the recent performance, I mean, even I just wrote down some numbers here. So silver fell roughly 38%, and then it that's from peak to trough or whatever. But when you look at year to date, silver was up 75%. It was up 75%, $52 since the beginning of January.
Yep.
Which that shows like there's some euphoria coming into the market. There's some FOMO coming into the market and such. And so I was already proceeding with caution when I saw that, like, okay, yeah, we've went up. Same thing for gold. Gold was up about 27% year to date. It went up $1,182 since the beginning of January. That is not common for gold. And $52 in a month is not common for silver. Like we're used to, like I mean, you and I, since we've been engaging, we're used to that $20 silver stuck
Yes.
in $20 for a long time. Like $52 in a month, right?
Yeah, I mean, we were stuck in the mode of like you could buy premium coins for $35, or you could buy generic stuff for about $23.
Yeah.
And you could sell them, you could trade them with people, you could do whatever you wanted with it. Now we're looking at such high amounts so quickly that people are trying to figure out, do I buy, do I sell, what do I do? My last big purchases were at $38, and then about 45, and then I think my last big one was probably at 58, and that's where I stopped. I started buying in August and September and October, and then I waited for a lot of it. Now I always buy a little bit, but that's when I bought big amounts. Since then, it's really when a deal presents itself and I'm able to pick up something at a really good price, I do that. I've been shifting a lot more into the miners. I look at the silver miners, and to me, they look like they're still significantly undervalued.
Yeah.
Especially after today. I picked a little bit more up today.
Same here.
I wasn't quick enough to move some other money to pick up more that I wanted to when it was at that bottom. But I did pick up some more today, and I probably pick some more up next week. I'll be watching very closely on Monday and Tuesday to see what happens in the markets.
Yeah. So yeah, a couple quick points to that. I mean, just the metal itself, right? When we look at silver and gold, silver's still up 11% on the month. So if you zoom out, look at that okay, even though silver went up 75%, it's still up 11% on the month. So that's still a good gain, right? That's still, I mean, the S&P hit what was it, 16%, 15% last year. Silver was up 11% on this month alone. So that's a good gain. So I think first is kind of like setting that context for investors to know, like, yeah, if you got in even at the beginning of this month and at $70 or wherever it was, you still up 11%. Same thing with gold. Gold's up 6.5% on after today's drop. And so you're still up. Not saying that, I'm not saying that we we don't have any further to go down. Like anything's possible right now, but we do have like multiple different factors. I mean, you have obviously a lot of the moves today was attributed to who President Trump picked as the new Fed chair. I think it's Kevin Warsh. And I've just been kind of digging into him, like, okay, what's his views? I guess he used to be very hawkish, and some people may be prescribing like, okay, this is going to be hawkish for the Fed, like we're not going to get lower rates or whatnot.
However,
but we know that if there's some crisis, they're going to turn on the money printers. We know that. Even if you read Ray Dalio's about his big debt cycles and how countries go broke, he talks about when the government gets so overstretched to where it cannot afford its liabilities, the Fed always comes in to backstop the government. What do we have? We had a shift from quantitative tightening, which was the government, the Fed selling assets off its balance sheet, which was like less bullish, to now they stopped doing that, and now they open the path for quantitative easing. Is where they start to begin to expand their balance sheet again, which is more liquid and more bullish for markets. And so, I mean, the table's already set, but there was some folks may have been like freaking out about that. I don't think that was big enough for this move. I think that there was probably some paper market manipulation as well, which we've seen that consistently. I mean, I'm reading some posts on X where I think a friend of mine told me that his hedge fund buddy, he posted that his hedge fund buddy put a short on at silver at 120. Like they just knew it was overstretched, and I'm sure they made a lot of money. I think they put a $5 million bet on it or something like that. So now we're getting to these levels where there's more market manipulation and such, and you still have the paper gain, right? Game. And when we look at, you got the Shanghai Metals Exchange and you got the COMEX. So the COMEX is saying that, okay, silver's at $70-something, but there's a big discrepancy to what the Shanghai Metals Exchange is saying. They're still saying that silver's in the hundreds. And China doesn't have these paper markets that are influencing their market. Their market is purely physical, to my understanding.
So I got a post on that from someone real fast here.
Yeah.
I don't know if these are the right numbers or not, but because I haven't checked it last, but from Fuzzy here, COMEX at 85.35, Shanghai at 123.22. Cheapest Maple Leaf on AppMex is 102.60. And there's a reason for all three of those points on there. But to your point, you don't have a comment about a new Fed chair being picked when the president is looking to replace the Fed chairman that exists because he won't lower interest rates. That, he's not going to pick someone that is not going to lower interest rates.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't make any sense. So to me, it seems like it was a good, what would you call it? The
catalyst or
scapegoat, right?
Yeah, scapegoat, yeah.
So, it's the excuse for it, right? But I think the real thing, and I wanted to ask you about this too, Darrell. To me, what I think is happening here is we're in a strategic resource war globally between the West and the East. You've got the U.S. weaponized the dollar against Russia.
Mm-hmm.
We've called for a new strategic reserve for silver. China has cut off basically exports out of China, not completely, but it's going to be pretty difficult to have it happen. And then the U.S. moves in on the oil in Venezuela, which was 80% of it was going to China. I'm seeing some what I would call tit for tats going back and forth here. And, I wouldn't be surprised if China is manipulating the market behind the scenes a little bit with the banks, potentially through other companies. I don't have evidence of that, but it seems very fortuitous. If they're still listing at 123 and the market drops down right there, it looks like a perfect time to start having arbitrage where you move money, or not money, but actual physical metals out of the COMEX into Shanghai and play that massive amount of arbitration.
Yeah. Yeah, I could definitely see that happen. I mean, because
Do you think that's possible?
yeah. I mean, why would you sell it on the COMEX if you can move it out of COMEX and it's a lot more, value in Shanghai. I think one of the biggest like driving factors that well, a few driving factors that keep me grounded with silver specifically is we had another mining deficit last year in 2025. So I think our cumulative deficit is right now is at 796 million ounces. And we've been having deficits every year since 2021.
Yep.
And so when I'm looking at that, I'm like, okay, well, supply and demand. Like you have this critical resource that's used in military weapons. It's used as a monetary asset. It's a critical mineral. You got China doing export controls. Like there's a lot of politics around silver now,
Yes.
and it's still a monetary metal. Like people in India use it as money. People in China use it as money. Many stackers that watch this show use it as money. Right. And so like you have these multiple different factors that, for me, that's what keeps me grounded. It's like, okay, well, we still haven't got the supply. It's not like they turned the mines on and they found deposits and really good ore grades, and they started, I mean, yeah, I mean,
Well, there's also not a switch they can just do either.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't have the exact number, but majority of the silver that's mined every year comes out of copper mines, or it comes out of a mine that's producing other, raw ore. And they were used to just throwing it over there in the corner. Right over there. Here we go. Put it in the corner over there, silver. They're probably using all that up now to produce some new silver, but you don't start going and producing a whole bunch more copper to hope that you find another silver vein. It doesn't work like that. I just saw a comment on X a few minutes ago from someone that's clearly a big Bitcoin maxi. And he was saying, I knew this was going to happen. And it happens every time because all they have to do is turn on the mining company, turn on the mines, and all the silver is going to come out. And I'm like, you have no idea what you're talking about. So, it can take an old mine that does not even have the right infrastructure. Maybe the roads are worn and all that kind of stuff. It could take them a couple years and probably closer to 5 years to really get it up and running. If you're doing a brand new mine, it can be anywhere from 5 to 15 years. Now, some of that's regulation. So countries could streamline it and speed it up, but it's not like there's just silver all over the place and you just go pick it up off the ground.
Exactly.
I was reading somewhere where there's only 4, maybe 5 major silver discoveries that haven't been, tapped yet. And there's not really any facilities to do that yet. So it's not like we're rolling in silver and we've just turned it off for a while.
Yeah, can I share a couple slides?
Supply can't go up super fast unless people that hold it decide to dump it on the market. Now that's a different thing. So if all the stackers in here see a low enough price and they decide I'm going to hurry and unload all my silver right now, and we have enough millions of ounces, to your point, right? Do we even have that much among all the stackers? Can we even fill that?
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna share. I'm actually gonna share screen real quick.
That would be awesome. Let's do it.
Let's do it. So,
and the last thing I was going to say on here with AppMex, guys, one thing you have to remember when you have a flash crash down, the bullion dealers are not all of a sudden just going to go drop their prices all the way down to match it. They've been buying silver at $100, at $105. A lot of the big dealers will also hedge with shorts in silver in case we have a dip, so that they don't get hit hard. But the reason AppMex is going to be at $102.60 for Maple Leaf is they aren't going to lose money on this. Now, where they start to potentially change that is, let's say silver stays down at 85 for the next month and they start buying Maple Leaves below $85. It gives them some more room to start to bring that price down. So you're going to notice with physical, it can take anywhere from a week to a month before they start to lower the price down. And don't If we stay at 85 for a month, do not expect it's just going to go straight down to, you know, $87, $88 to buy a maple leaf right off the bat. It'll take time for them to draw down on their supply and do that. So that's why you're seeing it look like that. Now, when they go to buy, they're not going to pay more than spots. You're going to see a massive spread right now from what you pay and what you sell to them. So just be aware of that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Are you seeing my screen?
Yep. Let me pull it up. Here we go.
Awesome. Awesome. So yeah, so we see here, this is an awesome graphic by Mining Visuals, and they map out the supply and demand here. And as you can see, there's a huge gap in the red between supply and demand for silver that's being mined. And so, as I mentioned earlier, 796 million ounces that were short. And then on top of that, I'm going to go to the next slide. You have the demand, right? The demand is continuously going a lot higher. So you have electrical and electronics, you have photovoltaics. I think I say that word wrong every time, but that's up 50% on the last year, right? You still have other industrial uses, silverware, jewelry, coin and bar demand, and so the demand is constantly rising, especially the electronics with solar panels, as well as electric vehicles. It's used in military weapons, right? I mean, silver is used in like many different military weapons and such. And I mean, you know, we're bumping up the budget, you know, 500 billion, right? And so, you know, I think that, you know, when I look at this, it's like, okay, the fundamental drivers are still there. Nothing's changed, right? This didn't change
$500 billion going to come from?
Yeah, that's another. It's gonna, they're gonna have to print the money.
We don't have a place to pull more budget from, so they're gonna print it, and that's just going to be more inflation, which is going to push the price of everything up higher, except for your wages. Those seem to really linger, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But if you guys look at this chart, just to point out here, when you see the white lines going across, you see one that's total supply, and then you also see mining production. Okay. And then the blue line at the top where you kind of see the black tip there, that's the demand that we have right now. Okay. Now, what this isn't even accounting for is robotics. Yep. All the robots that are going to be coming on, right? Tesla wants to put a robot in everybody's house for 30 or 40 grand. And they're going to do your dishes and your laundry and hopefully keep you safe and not, you know, kill you at some point.
You'll get no iRobot scenario.
Yeah, make sure there's a turn off switch on your robot. But there's going to be a lot of robots coming. There's going to be even more, you know, better technology that uses more silver in batteries. Okay, we keep hearing about Samsung. We haven't seen it come out yet, so you know, don't count your chickens before they hatch. But you know, a kilo in every battery is a lot. You've got replenishment of all the munitions that have been used in the last couple of wars, right? So we have to have things be replenished. And to me, I think what I'm seeing from a chart like this, Darrell, is I think I'm seeing countries that are deciding that they want to start to wall off the walls a little bit and be their own, you know, group of their own supply chain, let's say.
Yeah.
And I think part of what's happening is they're looking at this kind of a chart here, and they're realizing that mining production is not going to keep up with total supply, or it's not going to increase total supply to the point where it's going to go above total demand. And you know, the way these charts work, guys, is if you start to get like photovoltaics. That's not even right either. I can't say that word either. When you get that increasing from say 139 to say 200, it bumps everything up above it, right? And so what you're seeing is there's what we used to have back in 2011 and 1980. You had silverware, you had coins and jewelry. You didn't have these two dark blue categories down here. And I think you're going to have a third one that's coming in, which I would call chip manufacturers for AI. So, you know, we have countries that are really fighting to get to the #1 AI spot. And one of the ways they're going to be doing that is by producing more data centers, which is going to need more electricity. And so that brings me to another topic I'd love to kind of hit with you too is, you know, is uranium something that's worth looking at?
Yeah, for sure.
We'll keep going on silver, but I do want to make sure we hit that at some point. You know,
we got gold too. We haven't even touched gold yet.
We haven't touched gold, so we got to do that first.
All right, so yeah, I got a couple slides on gold actually, and I love to talk copper too. And
yeah, let's do copper too. There's a lot of people in here thinking that copper is the new silver, and I think there's a big difference between playing copper miners and the copper ETFs versus, or at least the copper. I don't know if there's copper ETFs, but the copper exchanges and futures versus physical copper.
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, just pick, gold. The driving factors, I mean, we kind of touched on some of these, but the central banks keep backing up the trucks. So, I mean, this recent drop in gold, I'm sure they're still buying. Even it's kind of interesting. A United States ally, Poland, has been buying a lot of gold too. And there's even a chart that shows that gold as a reserve asset for central banks now outweighs U.S. Treasuries. And so when you look at the cycles, when Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard, closed the gold window, you had gold prices shot up significantly, and central banks held a lot of gold. And then it took inflation, and Paul Volcker and such came in and really just hammered down that inflation and the gold price by letting interest rates, rise up to 20%, somewhere around there. So central banks held bonds for a long time as their primary reserve asset. So now there's charts that show that gold has actually rebounded, and they own more gold now than bonds. And a lot of that has to do with the de-dollarization. As gold has no counterparty risk, it can't be sanctioned. After we sanctioned Russia, and we seized hundreds of billions in their assets, yep. Right? They're like, hey, well, if the U.S. doesn't like, what we believe politically or whatever, or what we want to do, then we need to get out of this dollar system. There's constant geopolitical tensions, and there's still massive debts and deficits. And so central banks are like, okay, let's back up the trunks and buy gold. And so this is from the World Gold Council, and they show that they're continuing to buy all of last year. And so that's one factor here. Another factor, you have a lot of gold ETF inflows. We hit, I think, 89 billion last year, compared to 4 billion in 2024. And then lastly, I want to share this here in relation to mining. Here you have the all-in sustaining costs for miners, and this is just the average. Each miner is different, but I mean, right on the averages, it's under $1,750. So like you mentioned that you were parking some capital in miners, which I was too. When you look at how much it cost them to get out of the ground, and then they have to send it to a smelter, and then they sell it, right? And so, right now the average cost for miners is between $1,500 and $1,750 an ounce for gold. Silver is somewhere around $20. Yeah.
What's the difference there? So I'm just going to go back to $5,000 we hit recently.
Yep.
And we divide that by, how much did you say? 1,500?
Yeah, it's a little over 1,500. Just put about 1,600.
Okay, so that's 3.3x.
Yep.
Okay, so that looks pretty profitable to me.
Yeah, they get it out of the ground for 1,600. They're going to be selling it for the current. Well, they're selling it now, even before the price drop, right? But we have earnings season coming up next month, as well as in March, and so we're going to see like some of these miners like post some real big profits.
Okay, so with that said, can I go wrong picking any? I'm asking this rhetorically, right? Because I've got my strategies and how I do this too. But can people that are watching go wrong buying, any old miner that they find out there? I hear some people going into the majors, which I think is a more safe play for someone that's not really babysitting their accounts and watching them. You've got your smaller mid-cap companies, and then you've got your really small miners, and then you get into the juniors.
Yeah,
I guess those would be kind of considered juniors, and then you get into like your exploration companies, and then you even get into
royalty streaming.
Yep, and streaming companies. So when you look at that, do you have any rules of thumb for people that may be thinking of getting into the mining stocks? Maybe some cautions or maybe some ideas around, which ones do I look at? Because there's plenty of people you can get a newsletter from. You know, there's a lot of
Yep.
different things you can do. Can you go wrong picking any of them? Or are we, you know, we're just going to see them all go up? Or do you think some of them are maybe have some more systemic risks to the way they manage and things like that?
Yeah. Very loaded question. But but yeah, let's break it down. So I mean, if you don't own any mining stocks, I mean, I would suggest going with the majors. I mean, the Agnico Eagles, you know, the Newmonts, Barricks, and such. And this isn't financial advice. I'm just mentioning the majors.
Yep, not financial
Um,
advice, guys. We're just sharing our
you
thoughts and
know,
ideas with you
uh,
today.
so I mean, those are actively producing gold. So those are gold producers. They're producing gold out of the ground in their they're producing at a discount. They're selling it for a profit, right? Then as far as the royalty and streaming companies, you have the tier one royalty and streaming companies, which the king I would say is Wheaton Precious Metals. And then you have Franco Nevada, which Franco Nevada was the king before. I think Wheaton's kind of
Yeah.
competing with them. And then you have Royal Gold as well. And so royalty and streaming companies, these are companies that finance mining activity, whether that be in production. So let's say if a mining company wants to, you know, get some develop their mine, and they need a certain amount of capital. So just think about 5 years ago, banks were not lending to mining companies. They're like, this is a risky business. We're not gonna, this is a hard business. We're not gonna loan you money. So royalty companies would come in and they would loan miners money for a royalty on the mine. So once they start producing, because each mine has a certain amount of mine life, whether that be 10, 15 years. And let's say you buy a royalty on the mine, and you're like, okay, I want 2% of the revenue that is generated out of this mine. And so you provide the upfront cut, they provide the upfront capital for the miner to start producing, and then they get a percentage of that revenue. And so that's royalty companies. So they're pretty much like a alternative bank for the mining sector. Then you also have streams where they're able to get the actual metal out of the ground at a discount compared to what it costs at market. And so royalty and streaming companies are very safe. Large miners, very safe for the most part. I mean, there's risk in everything, right? And then you go down the chain, you got developers. These are the companies that are developing the mines. Um, you know, and then you go down to the exploration companies. These are the companies that are drilling holes to find deposits, you know, and each explores at different phases. And I
Well,
don't want to get
with the develop not the developers, but the exploration companies, you a lot of times, even with developers, I guess, you can get into penny stocks with some of
yeah,
these companies that are out there. And
yeah,
a lot of you will notice when you try to go buy those, you're not allowed to. There's a
hmm
reason for that because they're highly volatile.
yeah,
So if you're not a trader and you're someone that's just wanting to buy a few stocks, personally, that's why that's set up that way. You've got to go through some approvals and things like that.
hmm
But as you get into those areas, it gets more risky. But I would assume the reward could be way higher.
yeah. Those are going up 300, 400% easy, right? Easy. Those are smaller market caps typically. So these are like typically like sub $1 billion companies. So they're, you know, they could be anywhere from 200 million, 300 million, whatever. And all it takes is capital to flow in and they go up significantly. They can double overnight easy. So a lot more risk. I mean, you have different risks such as jurisdictional risk. You know, do they have access to financing? That's another layer to it. So for me personally, like if I'm investing in that sector, I follow the big money. I'm following the Rick rules, the Frank Justra's, the Fiore groups,
Yep.
you know, which Frank Justra is part of. Like, how are these companies going to get financed? Because last thing you want is to get diluted as a shareholder. You know, you don't
Yeah.
want them to issue shares and then devalue your share, the share prices because of that. So I always try to find where the big money's investing, whether it be Sprott, you know, some of these other big firms, and you can find that information. It's typically public. So I use international brokers, and so sometimes that's a helpful way for me to see, like, okay, I see the CEOs buying shares. Does the CEO have skin in the game? Does the CEO have success, a track record of success? You know, who's vetted this company? So all those things. So that's like, if you're new to this space, I mean, that's like alpha investing. I would suggest go to beta investing if you're newer. And that's like, you know, ETFs, GDX, GDXJ, Agnico Eagles, Newmonts,
Yep.
those are the more safer bets, and not financial advice, but that's where I suggest you would start to look at least.
And I think that's great, and thank you for sharing that. And my recommendation is someone in this space. I started off by building a foundation of physical metals first.
Yeah.
And then from there, I started to look at other options that I had out there. And so I started to vault as well. So there's a lot of vaulting services where you can own a fractional part of a bar. It's very liquid. You can buy and sell very quickly. Way lower premiums. It's a great way to play the gold to silver ratio. If you guys want to do it that way, easier than having to sell physicals. And then you start to get into things like mining stocks. And what Darrell just shared gives you guys some really good foundation when you're looking at mining stocks to start to understand it. And then it really comes out to, how well can you manage your own stock portfolio, right? If you haven't done that before, and if you've got a money manager or a financial advisor, you may ask them, hey, I want to get into some mining stocks. Can we look at that? Let's talk about it. I know a lot of them have been advising people to just hurry and dump silver because it's done. It's hit its peak and it's over.
Yeah.
What do you think, Darrell? We looked at gold here on this chart. We looked at silver. Before we get to copper, are we done with silver going up? Is this over? Did we hit it? The title I put in for this video, because I knew things were kind of starting to get closer to it, is silver and gold. How high can they go before?
We missed about one day.
We're close.
A few hours.
So, and frankly, I was about to go take a bunch of silver personally. I had silver bars I wanted to liquidate yesterday. I just could not make it down to my smelter. We've got a smelter in Los Angeles that'll pay 1% below spot for us on silver, which is a great deal right now.
Yeah.
And I was going to put more of it into mining stocks. Now I've got a debate on whether I want to take the hit on the physical at the moment or not.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'll say the mining stocks. I mean, they got clobbered. So they were already cheap. I mean, they started rising, like some of the bigger names, even the silver producers like First Majestic, and stuff, they were on a run, right? But yeah, I mean, they're still not priced for how much they're getting the silver out of the ground from. They're getting the silver out of the ground at $20-25 an ounce, and so and silver was at 120, right? And so when you think of that, it's like, okay, and then they got clobbered again. So like, I don't even think the mining stocks are even fairly priced right now. So that's where I decided to park some money, because the metals are still elevated, right? I do have a hard time. I mean, I think the last time I bought gold was maybe silver. I think the last silver ounce I bought was at $80, and that was like cringe. It was like, because I've been in so long. But I did buy I did buy a little bit. But as far as gold, I think the last time I bought I think it was in the 4,000s. And so, I think I'm good there. And so now I'm looking at the mining stocks, because I think that they got a long ways to go, and they're gonna start ripping with these profits that they're making. It's gonna be.
Oh yeah, I don't think people even are prepared for the numbers that those are going to do.
Yeah.
And they won't be able to hold them down, because the rest of the market's not going to look as good, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. And so the driving factors are still intact. And so I wouldn't even, for me, like, I think silver, was this the top? I doubt it. I mean,
I'm going to bring up a chart for us real quick.
Go ahead.
From Kevin Wadsworth from North Star Bad Charts. I just got to pull it up. There's two I want to hit real quick, because I posted these and people are like, I can't even read them. Which kind of that happens sometimes when you go to share this. Real quick before we do that, let me end this poll real fast. I just wanted to bring this up to everybody's attention real fast. So we ran a poll. What's your next move for silver? We have 55% of the people saying they're going to dollar cost average their buys, so they're still buying. We then have 35% that said they're going to back up the truck to buy. We've got 7% that are dumping all their silver, or at least significantly dumping it. We've got 3% that are selling, from 173 people.
So quick question. So I'm kind of wondering how much of that is So I've noticed, like, when people say they sell silver, you got to get clarity. Okay. Some people mean silver stocks. Some people buy the Sprott physical silver ETF or silver trust, PSLV. And which I think, you know, my friend Rick Rule, like he said, he sold 80% of his silver. I think he's talking about PSLV, because I'm like, you're a super wealthy guy. That would be some huge bars. Like,
well, even Robert Kiyosaki, there's a post that says that he sold all his silver, and then he's like, I didn't sell all my silver. So
yeah,
was it an AI post? Was he just referring to, you know, some element of it, right?
yeah, exactly. So yeah, sometimes we got to get clarity on that. But I mean, if you're talking about physical silver, I mean, I kind of wondered, you know, the 7% is what 7% said they're dumping all of it.
Yeah.
I wonder how much of that is like, oh, I bought at the top, I bought at 120. And I'm done with this trade. I'm out of here, you know? Right?
Yeah. Well, if you're a brand new stacker and you just, so if you're, okay, first off, guys, we got 400 people in here. Go ahead and hit the thumbs up. That gets more people watching this. We are going to do silver giveaways. I'm sitting at 24,908 subscribers. If we hit 25,000 while we're done, before we finish this, we'll do a gold giveaway as well.
Yeah, let's do it.
Celebrate the 25. So you guys have got to go and tell other people to come on here to hit that. But you know, when we look at a lot of these things, if you're a new stacker or an investor in gold and silver, and you just bought last week and you bought at the top and you were feeling like, hey, I need to get in here because I haven't done it yet, and everybody's telling me it's going up and everything else, you only take a loss if you sell. Okay. So I'm going to show you guys right here on this screen why I think it's too early to be dumping everything. Now, when I look at people, like what was said about Rick Rule dumping half of his silver, I think is what I heard, which maybe it's not half of all of his physical stuff. Maybe it's half of, you know, some portion of it or whatever. But the reality is people like Rick Rule have a strategy. They have a plan. When they hit certain numbers, they move into their next strategy. Okay. Not everybody has a complete strategy when they're doing this. And so if you're just getting started with it, you only lose if you sell. Okay. Now's a great time to be buying relative to what you just bought last week. For me, most of my stack was purchased way below the prices that we even dropped to today. So I can still have it lose a huge amount of money here, and I can still be okay. What I want to show you guys on this chart.
Shout out to North Star Bad Charts.
Yes.
Yeah. Actually, I interview Patrick Karam all the time.
Oh, you do? Okay, great. Awesome. So I bring on Kevin to it too.
Yeah.
So I haven't brought Patrick on yet. I got to probably get both of them one of these days. Because Kevin's always got me going at like 6 a.m. But it's awesome to talk to him, and we get a little bit of British accent in here. So what I love about this chart, guys, is this doesn't show you everything, okay? But it does show you the log scale. It shows you the patterns of what's going on. But most importantly, what we're looking at is there's this potential target of $400 to $500 based on mathematical equations that are set up through the trading behavior. And so, you know, if you're new to it, and I can't guarantee we're going to hit those numbers, I can't guarantee we're going to have that same percentage. We could be less than that. We could be way higher than that. Okay. We could have a massive amount of hyperinflation. We could still have a depression that forms and deflationary, pressures to where we end up printing ourselves out of it. So you can have all kinds of funky, weird dynamics going when a country is losing value in its money, in its currency, in the dollar, as well as when we're adding so much debt. Okay, so it starts to get funky with what we do. But I want to let you guys know that's the target. That's kind of what we're looking at. Now, some people will put 1,000 out there, 1,500, 2,000. The charts don't show us that. It doesn't mean we can't hit it. It's just that it's less likely to go into those numbers unless some new data comes into play. Okay. Mm-hmm. But I want you guys to kind of understand that. So that's gold. This is silver. 400 to 500 is the target that North Star is looking at. Okay. And then for gold, we've got this chart here. And this one is a little different chart. You can actually see the closer, this is probably a monthly maybe chart. 1 month. So this is on the monthly chart. And you can see that the target's up here. Now, when you guys look at the dates down below, these are all guesses, right? When you see a line, a red line on a chart, it's just a projection out. It doesn't mean that we're going to hit it right in this area, right? You can see the circle or the oval here goes anywhere from about 2029 to 2034. Okay, you got a pretty big range there that you could hit this target area, but that's at 16,000. So I don't tell you guys this stuff to hype it. What I'm telling you this for is when we have analysts out there that are doing a lot of charts, and this is just one of the versions of the charts that they have out there, it gives you a view of what could potentially happen, and then you look at the probability of it. When we have these big cup and handles, like silver was 45 years, I want to say it was 15 years for gold, if I remember correctly. When they break upside, they usually go the amount up of what the cup is. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now with this diagram here, it's not at the right scale to show you that, but I want to make sure you guys understand that. But kind of moving from this, Darrell, I'm going to put another
one last little point on this. So this the work they do at North Star is really good. I mean, they've been spot on with many targets. Yeah. And so I think one of the biggest things for those that may have sold, selling all their silver 7%, I encourage you to go look at the recent interviews with Ray Dalio at Davos. Okay. And he talks about right now we're in a point of a cycle where there's a monetary order breakdown, and so the monetary order is changing before our eyes with nations stockpiling gold and such. And so, if you're selling your physical assets, for dollars, and I mean, maybe you have a better opportunity. Maybe you can buy some real estate. Maybe you can, pay off some debt, whatever the case may be. But I do want you to keep that in mind, that we're currently in a cycle where the monetary order of the world is breaking down and is shifting. The last monetary orders we've had was after World War II, and then when Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard in 1971. We're currently at this next cycle, this next point of where the monetary order is changing significantly, and central banks around the world who have a lot more money than us on this show are backing up the trucks and buying gold. And so I just want to let you all know that.
And it's not just the smart money. So I kind of look at it like you've got the people that own BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard. Don't know who the heck those people are in total conjunction. But when those three companies move to own a big chunk of the stock market and they start divesting out of it, you see a pattern happening, right? A lot of these same people are probably similar people that also have interest into the central banks. We don't know who owns central banks either. But what are they doing? That's like the ultra smart money. What are they doing? They're moving into gold. And why are they doing that? Why are they holding more gold reserves now than cash, US dollars? Well, it's because they see that there's a risk to holding US dollars. It can be taken from you. And the US can continue to print more money. And that, that basically hurts them. And so gold's the safest thing to go to. And I think it's interesting because a lot of people that own Bitcoin would like it to be Bitcoin that becomes the reserve. But in my opinion, there's some functions of Bitcoin that just don't make it anywhere close to being a true digital gold. And in reality, you could actually tokenize gold and turn that into digital gold. So you really don't necessarily need to have something else there.
Yeah, exactly.
So you kind of have that going. But we'll take that chart off for a second here. So kind of looking at that, I got one more poll that we'll look at in a minute here. I do want to call out a couple super chats real fast. So we have JT Coins. Thank you for the super chat. And
JT, I'm mad you spelled my name wrong, man. We've been friends how long, and you ain't spelled my name right?
I think you did that on purpose. I'm gonna say you did that on purpose.
I'm just gonna assume it was autocorrect or something, right?
Yeah, it was speech to text. He's like driving or something, right? He's not really at work. Anyway, we'll have JT on again soon. He does a lot of cool videos, guys, and he also has a business where he takes a coin that you have and he'll turn it into a ring. I did that for my wife and I. We've got matching silver rings made out of the same Morgan dollar. I know a few of you are going to freak out that we did that to a Morgan dollar, but guess what? Every time you sell your Morgan dollars and you sell your constitutional or junk silver, what do you think happens to it?
It goes to a refinery and it gets melted down.
It's getting melted down. So I'm actually keeping history with that ring versus turning it into the next Scottsdale Mint bar. All right, we got another one from Steve Woods. So he got the answer on the pullback. Okay, yeah, I think we were going to try to give that answer to you guys today. I've also got an interview on Monday that's to talk about the silver pullback that's coming. Apparently, it already hit. So we'll talk in maybe a little bit different direction with it. But thank you for that. Let me find the other quick super chats in here. And then we'll come back to some questions in a little bit, guys. Oh, that's a question. Oh, that's a super chat. All right. Jacqueline, thank you. Or Jack Lyons, thank you. I've heard, or I've held my fire. I've held my fire on derivatives a couple years, fearing great taking. Want to trade leveraged in the coming weeks. Is that a bad idea timing? Okay, so I'm going to clarify this a little bit, Darrell. I think what he's asking is, there's a lot of people out there. We had Bill Holter on. He talked about the great taking. Yeah. He talked about if you don't own these stock certificates in your own possession, then they can take it from you. If the brokerage basically has a run on the brokerage or has a liquidity crunch or whatever else. So there's fear there. I think what he's saying is, am I crazy investing in mining stocks, maybe even plain futures or even options being leveraged right now because of the great taking? Could I lose everything? I can't give a great answer to that because I don't have a crystal ball. Maybe you do. I don't know.
Yeah, shout out to Bill Holter. He came on the show last month. I think that the great taking is real. I think it's real. I don't think it's nothing to be played with, but it all comes back down to time horizons and what do you think needs to happen, for this to take place? Because if I see a great taking right now, I'm seeing riots in the streets. I'm seeing things on fire. I'm seeing armed militia groups and all type of stuff, right? And so and they could do this discreetly as well, but and maybe that's the stable coin stuff, that's a stable coin bill or whatever. I know there's some acts being passed there, but it all comes down to I think time horizon. You also have to factor in okay, do you think government is as competent to execute this master heist flawlessly, right? So I think it's going to take time for some of these things to play out. And so in regards to where we are in this cycle, you can make higher percentage gains on the mining stocks. I've done the math historically through the last bull market cycle, even in this bull market cycle. Stocks like Hecla Mining significantly outperformed silver. I think it was double the price of silver last year. Double the percentage gains. I think Hecla Mining was over 400%. Silver was at 160 something percent. Yep. And so and
it's still not overvalued in my opinion.
Yeah. And so imagine parking capital there, taking those gains out and rolling it into silver. I actually did the math. Okay, if you bought certain silver mining stocks at a particular price, sold it at a particular price, and then what was silver at that particular time, and every time, because these are the mining stocks that outperform the metal. Not every mining stock outperforms the metal. I'm gonna be upfront about that. But every time, the math showed that if you'd have parked 10,000 into the mining stock, you would have more ounces of silver. You could buy more ounces of silver than if you put $10,000 into the silver metal itself. Mm-hmm. And so if you're looking to multiply your ounces, these are the nitro. these are what helps you juice your portfolio. And so I think there's opportunity there. However, I wouldn't sell all my metals, my physical metals, to go and do this or anything like that. So that's my take on it.
I agree. Now, if you have a paid off house, or you have paid off cars and you go and get loans on those, or if you already have loans, you could be susceptible to the great taking if banks call the loans. Now, like Darrell's saying, there's no way they're going to say, let's take everybody's property in the United States on the same day. That right there is a uprising. That's not going to happen. But the idea is the more leverage you have, there's someone that's beholden to it, that's a lien holder, and you open yourself up to more risk. So one thing I will caution people on is over leveraging yourself. If you have a lot of metals and you have a mortgage, you're technically leveraging your metals still, or you're leveraging your house, either however you want to look at it. So, you know, my goal is to have all my debt paid off. My goal is to have my gold and silver foundation firm in physical metals so that if a great taking does happen, I can guarantee you metals will go skyrocketing. If we have a great taking, and it's going to be one of the few things they will have a hard time getting their hands on, and you'll have that value. But I'm still doing mining stocks, and I'm not freaking out over it too. And I'm not having all the stock certificates delivered to me because I'm trading them to a degree, and going in and out of stock certificates is a little bit kind of crazy to do.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, I couldn't like last night have this epiphany that, okay, I need to hurry and get my stock certificates in before the market opens so I can sell them. Like, you're not going to be able to do that.
Yeah, you might want to have a passport to another nation. You may want to have some gold in a Swiss vault, or maybe
there you go,
gold in Australia or something. So like if you know, this great taking is going to happen, like you got other things to consider too, right?
For sure. And then I want to do another quick shout out to 949s. Thank you very much. This is awesome. 50 StackingSurfer memberships. So we have memberships, guys, that gets you fun emojis. Nice. It gets you. We do a member only call. In an hour from now, we'll be doing that. And the other thing is I do coaching for you guys too. So I can't tell you financial advice, but I can look at what you guys are doing. I can give you some advice. I can share what I'm doing, and we can try to find some plans that work for you guys and make sure you've got all the right players in place. So I want to thank you for that. Now, those of you that got a free membership today, you'll have that for the next month, and then it's going to send you an email on YouTube, and you have the ability to keep it going, or you can basically cancel, which is cool. Last comment I'll put in right here until we get to, I want to hit copper real quick. And by the way, are you okay to go for another 20 minutes?
Yeah, I'm good. Okay.
So this is just the funny thing here, right? I heard that you should buy high and sell low, like Kramer. So, you know, I was thinking we're getting really high on silver until I heard Kramer say that silver is a horrible buy, and it's, you know, you don't want to buy it. And I'm like, okay, it's going to go higher now. So a lot of times reverse Kramer's right. Sometimes, you know, he's right on stuff too, but
it's not flawless. Yeah.
It's not flawless, but what I'll tell you guys is we don't have confirmation that this is like a sustained, you know, pullback, okay, or crash. What we know right now is it's gone down. Time's gonna tell if it stays down here very long. We could have things open on Sunday, and we see that China starts pushing it higher, and then we could on Monday see the shorts coming back in on the COMEX, right? And so you could see things going up and down and seesaw. What I do want you to be aware of is trying to time things isn't going to work. Okay. I was getting close to selling a bunch of silver to put into some miners. And the reality is if I sell that silver to put into miners right now, it's kind of sixes, as long as I can do it quickly, because both of them went down. Right. So then you look at how much they went down percentage wise to determine if that's a good idea or not. If you're selling and you're hoping to wait for it to go way lower, be cautious. Sometimes things spring back. Look at 2020 in the stock market, where we had a big crash down and we had a V recovery. A lot of people got caught selling stuff on the way down. They sold closer to the bottom and they missed the up. And so you can miss that too. So I think what Darrell's saying that I think is pretty smart here too is you can play the markets if you want, know what you're doing, but also keep a solid foundation. You know, you need to have those in the backup too. So I thought that was kind of funny. What are your thoughts on copper? And then let's hit uranium.
Yeah, so copper, I'm actually going to share screen here. All right, so when I'm looking at copper, it's a couple things. So the copper price has doubled over the last few years. Let me go to the next screen. So first thing is that you see that the copper production has extremely just exceeded population growth, and a lot of this has to do with the 90s, as you can see, the mid 90s, the digital revolution, as well as the rise of the new consumer in 1999. You see this huge, just kind of almost like a blow off top of how much production we needed of copper. So you have a growing population, and and you have production that has been significant. Now, the issue here is that the demand is rising significantly, driven by population growth and AI data center expansion. So AI data centers are going to need a whole lot of copper, okay, and broader electrification. So when you look at the large scale copper discoveries, they've fallen off a cliff.
That's going the wrong way for what we
Yep.
need.
Yep. And there's even more issues to this, because I had a panel at the Vancouver Resource Investment Conference. It was with me, Ivan Babik, Rick Rule, and Lobo Tigre. And we dove into this, like, okay, we need these discoveries, right? And we haven't had these huge discoveries for a long time. And there's multiple issues. One is we need, I think it's about 250 billion to be invested for these discoveries and such. We need timelines on for regulation to be sped up and such. So some of these copper companies are taking like 20 years. There's a copper, I keep forgetting the name of it. It's in Arizona, but it's been in the permitting phase for like
one up in
28
Utah.
years.
You've got the Kennecott mine, which is one of the largest holes on the planet now, where they've been pulling copper out forever.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot the name. Rick mentioned it, but it's been in a permitting phase for, I think it was 28 years.
Okay.
So if you need all this copper for AI data centers and such, but the permitting is slowing down the mining and the production and all of that, then we have a big issue. So, I think that copper is going to go a lot higher. I mean, it's already doubled in the last few years. I think that copper can go even higher than where it is. And so it was interesting because I watched a presentation by Robert Friedland. He owned Ivanhoe. He owns Ivanhoe Mines, Ivanhoe Electric, and a few other companies. But he talked about how we've since in the last 10,000 years, we've mined 700 million I think tons of copper, metric tons of copper. And his projections based on data center growth, population growth, and such, because the population has skyrocketed over the last 40 years, 50 years, right? His projection is that we're going to need another 700 million metric tons in the next 18 years.
Ooh, that's a lot.
And right now, like in granted, he's a good promoter, right? Granted, he's a good promoter, but he scared the mess out of me. I was like, hey, looking at this chart here, copper discoveries, we haven't had much in the last 10 years. That's a big problem.
Well, let's take a second to look at this poll. I'm going to end it real quick.
Yeah.
So I asked, what metals do you invest in or stack? 50% of the people here are in silver. 28% of the people are in gold. And I can't do five options, so we're off a little bit. 22% are all of the above, and 0 were in just copper. So
that means I need to go buy up these copper stocks.
Yeah, I think so. So we haven't done it yet. Now, I'll tell you guys, I think copper is extremely hard to stack. Okay, I think I have one tube of like 20 copper 1 ounce rounds, and they have a cool design on them, and they're just kind of cool. I use them in decoy safes and things like that. I've got some copper bars I bought from the Wounded Warrior Project when they do auctions, to help do charity. And, I just put it in there and a bunch of copper came. But copper takes up a lot of space physically, and it's still, fairly readily available around, scrap yards and things like that. So I do worry about a really high copper price. Does someone break into my house and steal my pipes? What happens with that? Because there's copper in a lot of homes, so that could be really interesting. But I think you've got better chance with copper mining stocks, and other options like that is probably going to be easier on storage situations, as well as the premiums are pretty high. When you have something that's trading for, I don't know where copper's at right at the moment. Is it around $6 an ounce?
Somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm. The premium can also almost be like 100%. And so when you're buying coins, that doesn't make any sense for you guys. but I do think it's an option. So we'll shift real quick here. So, you know, uranium, that's one that I stack a lot of. I have a whole pile of, just kidding. You don't really stack uranium, but you have opportunities to invest in uranium. And I'm hearing that the data centers need a lot of energy as well as a lot of water. And our electrical grid is probably not up to snuff, which makes me think that these smaller nuclear power plants could possibly be put onto site of all these data centers, which would kind of save our electrical grid a little bit as a country. You know, what are you seeing with uranium? Is that one that's worth getting into? Are we too early? Are we too late?
No, I think uranium is still one that's worth getting into, and I say that because we're going to need a lot of energy production. I mean, and uranium's a bipartisan issue. Nuclear energy is a bipartisan issue. You know, it pleases the clean energy crowd. It pleases the crowd that says, "Hey, we need good base load power." Like the solar and the wind, like it's not working out. Like we got these skeleton wind farms and stuff. Like it's not working out. Like especially with the brownouts and such. I mean, you've had I think Germany pivot to like get their nuclear back restarted and such, and so
Yeah,
Japan
but
did as
they had
well.
a huge amount of it and they shut it all down.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
is politics, totally, because it's like one of the most efficient things you can do.
Yeah, exactly. And so when I got into uranium, you know, it was still a hated asset. You know, I remember having this conversation with a friend of mine, and she was just like, I need to check your investment morals because, like, you're invested in this and this relates to nuclear energy and such. And, you know, I had to tell her, I said, I started just hitting her with the facts. Like, don't you know this is the cleanest energy and that you actually have less deaths per terawatt of power that's produced than like coal, oil, and any other source of energy, even wind, right? And so, yeah, so you know, people get caught up in these narratives and stuff, and so now the whole sentiment has changed significantly because we've had multiple acts. I mean, a couple acts were passed under Biden's administration, but then President Trump even pivoted. He said at Davos, like, you know, first I was skeptical about nuclear, but now I think we need it, and we need to fast track these permits, right?
Yeah.
Because he talked about how a big political issue is the AI data centers and the grids and the local communities. That's a huge political issue right now because people are having these increased energy costs, and these data centers are moving into neighborhood. They're using the same grids and stuff, and so President Trump said, "Hey, he said at Davos, these AI data center companies and such, they need to invest in the grids, right?" And so what do you see? You see multiple. I think Microsoft partnered with I think it was, I don't know if it was Constellation or who, but to restart 3 Mile Island. You had Meta just signed a nuclear deal with Oklo and such.
I live close to a nuclear power plant that got cracked. Please don't restart this one.
Yep. And
Build a new one.
so I think and the opportunity comes with uranium. So uranium actually is a quiet mover. So while all the news was, so uranium had the last bull cycle went up to about $140 per pound. At the end of that cycle, you had Fukushima, which was the earthquake that hit Japan, and they had a nuclear reactor incident. That changed the whole sentiment on uranium and nuclear. And uranium went down. It was depressed under $20 per pound for a long time, and then slowly but surely started increasing. So about a couple years ago, we hit 100 and I think $5 per pound. It corrected, came back down to 70s, 80.
Yeah, I kind of rode that wave. I made some decent money off that.
Yeah, yeah. You know, it basically, yeah, me too, right? And then it came down, and then while the news today, you know, a lot of people are focused on the metals, right? Silver and gold. I go look at the uranium chart. Uranium hit $101 a pound again. And I'm like, who's talking about this? Right. so, you know, right now, from what I've seen, the uranium stocks have moved, you know, like they have moved, but I think they got a lot farther to go. And this is why we've been having a lot of the nuclear reactor stocks. They've been going crazy the last couple of years,
Mhm.
you know, so like these are stocks that are like, oh, we're building small modular reactors. We got micro reactors and all this stuff. And like the money's been flowing into those. but they're going to need uranium to fuel those reactors. And right now, uranium's been in a deficit. It's been a supply and demand deficit.
You can't get it. I mean, a lot of it's produced in Russia. That's not coming here.
Yeah. So yes, produced in Russia and enriched in Russia. Like we have a huge amount that's enriched in Russia. So when you're thinking about the our capabilities of enriching, conversion, and all of that, like we don't even have that infrastructure up. There are some companies that are looking to bring that on, but that takes years to do. Then you have we've been in a deficit since COVID. Uranium is about 20% of United States electrical power that we generate. And now you have these companies like Meta, Microsoft, Google, I think Amazon, you know, they're like, okay, we want nuclear power. And, you know, they're doing these deals with these reactor companies and these energy companies. And so those prices have moved. But it's like, okay, well, you need to get the metal out of the ground to even fuel the reactor. And it has to go through this conversion process and enrichment process. And sorry, you all, if I'm getting a little too technical with this stuff, like, you know, fascinates me. But, you know, so I think that the uranium stocks still have some ways to go. And I don't think they're even reflecting the $100 per pound price that we're seeing now. And I think that the price is going to go higher than the last cycle. The last cycle was 140. And we didn't have nowhere near these dynamics that we have today.
I think you got a couple things to watch on uranium. Who the administration is. If it's a Republican administration, it tends to be more favorable for oil and uranium, nuclear. If it's Democratic, they tend to go for the alternative energy sources, which are still very difficult because it needs a lot of heavy subsidization. They're pretty expensive and they're not very efficient. So like wind turbines, you can't recycle them. I drive by Palm Springs and I swear 80% of them can't even spin anymore. They're just sitting there. So, you know, they're just not very efficient. And even solar panels, you know, I think they're maybe up to 25% efficient now, maybe. And you've got like coal is like 98% efficient, right? And we've shut all the coal plants down. So, you know, you got to figure out what to use. Uranium makes the most sense. So I think there's going to be some on there. And some people were saying Back to the Future. That was plutonium, guys, not uranium.
Yeah, almost correct.
Plutonium, I know a guy in San Diego that's selling a DeLorean. We might be able to rig it, and maybe we can go back a few years and go buy more gold and silver.
Yeah, for sure.
So you always have that kind of coming into play. Well, real quick, we're gonna do some giveaways here real fast. I'm gonna make this fast and simple for everybody. Those that stuck around get to do that. We're close to hitting 25,000. We're not going to end up doing it today, but we'll get close. We'll do it in the next couple days, guys. What we're going to do right now, though, we did hit over. Let's see, how many thumbs up did we get? Let me double check on my screen over here. We got 296 thumbs up. All right, we're going to do a couple of these silver bits. We're going to do 2 of these silver bits going out to people. Okay. So these are worth more than just doing a silver dime.
How much are the silver grams now? I remember the grams were like cheap. I haven't looked at the price of them.
I'd have to look. I don't know what a silver gram is right now. Maybe someone in the audience can do the math for us real quick.
Yeah.
So I want to show your YouTube, the YouTube channel for the group that you work with. I want to just make sure it's the right one. Is it at VRIC Media?
Yep, that's it.
All right, so we'll show that in just a second here. Real quick, guys, this is the hashtag you need to enter in. It's hashtag VRIC. And we're going to spin it. Well, it's not really a spin, but we're going to do it twice. Okay, so all you have to do is put the hashtag in to get that. Now, you have to be a subscriber. If I find out you're not a subscriber, then I get to keep the silver. It goes to one of my kids. So that's what happens.
And you can't unsubscribe after you get it either.
You can't unsubscribe after you get it, or I'm going to find you. YouTube tells me where your address is. Not just kidding, they don't do that. But just, you know, subscribe if you like it. If you like the content, if you like great live streams like this to ask questions, you know, we try to get as many as we can in here for you guys. So, you know, I'm going to throw 2 questions out to you while we're gathering all of the names in here. So far, we are up to 55 people. We've got 385 watching. Let's see if we can get it up to 100. You know, how long will this downturn last? The dip can't last for very long. there's a couple thoughts that I have there, and let me show your page real quick so you guys can go subscribe.
Yeah, be sure to go subscribe. VRIC
well.
Media. I actually got Michael Oliver coming on next week.
Ooh,
so
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, be sure to go subscribe.
So yeah, you guys should go look at that. Michael Oliver is awesome too. So anyway, when you look at the market and what's going on with this, guys, Shanghai is a place to watch. Okay, if Shanghai continues to keep a really high silver price and we're really low, the whole system's decoupled. We now have two different spot prices going, basically, and that's going to do some funky dynamics. If we start seeing a lot of silver leaving and getting taken out of the COMEX, especially as we get closer to March, I just do not see that we can have that kind of disparity and not have like the president do some kind of executive order to try to keep it in the country. I could be wrong. I don't know. Maybe he's not aware of all of that yet, but I'm guessing he is. It's a strategic mineral now that someone should be watching it.
Mm-hmm.
But these things can last anywhere from days to weeks to a few months. I really don't see it staying down and crashing harder and being way down, for this whole year. I still have an outlook of, about $180 this year for silver and probably around $6,000 for gold. I'm still pretty bullish on it. So to me, I see this as a buying opportunity than I do a panic.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, same here. I mean, you have a lot of, Goldman Sachs had a $5,500 target on gold. I don't know if they upped it or what, but they had 5,000, then they upped it to 5,500. They did technically hit the target. But there's a lot of targets out there for gold. And so, I think this downturn isn't going to last very long. I think we're gonna level out at some point and find a base. We needed that cool off. I didn't think the blow off top would be this extreme, but these assets do not just go up in a straight line and never have a pullback. We need.
Well, and it also depends on
validation.
How many calls were sitting in that system that they liquidated. I mean, something funky happened to Bitcoin at the end of last year, where we saw like this flash crash go from like a 120 something down to like $60,000, and it basically wiped out everybody's stop losses.
Yeah.
And so I learned a couple of years ago to be very careful what I do with my stop losses.
Yeah.
Because you can get wiped out. So people got wiped out at like 70, and then the price went back up to like 100, and they lost, they have to rebuy way higher. So you got to be careful with that too, but it's also dangerous not to have them.
Yep, exactly.
But we're seeing these liquidation events, which I think is kind of crazy.
Yeah, for sure. And the last thing I would say, I think we do need to level out, find a base. I don't know if that base is going to be here. I think we're at 70 something right now, or 80. Maybe that base is around $80 or whatever, $85. We need to build a base and for it to be a healthy bull run. This was like a meme coin type status. So this is like a meme coin. The last few days was seriously like, Pepe coin or whatever, and so and I just want to share, so with VRIC, if you subscribe to our channel, we're actually posting the corporate presentations of many of the gold and silver mining exploration companies and such. We're posting those presentations now, so you'll see on the videos that we posted, you'll see the corporate presentation, so you can actually get to know some of the companies in that way. I think they're very digestible. They're about 10 minutes each or something of that nature. Also, we're going to be posting the panels and the keynote speeches. So I did give a keynote speech. We've had Mark Moss there. He gave a keynote speech. Andy Sheckman. We had folks like Rick Rule, Lobo T. Gray. We had Taylor Kinney there. We had Nomi Prinz there. So we had some heavy hitters there that gave keynote speeches, and those are actually being uploaded as well. So if you subscribe, you can actually go view awesome. That content.
We'll have to check it out. Mark Moss doesn't live too far from me.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. Dude.
One of these days I want to talk to him, because I know he was pretty heavy into gold at one time, and I think he's gone pretty heavy into Bitcoin.
Yeah, he still owns gold.
I don't think he's sold his gold. I just think he's done more Bitcoin. Yeah,
exactly. I had a chance to spend some good quality time with him up there in Canada. So Yeah,
And he mentioned the other day, I mean, I think he holds a bunch of collectible gold. I know a lot of people give collectible gold or old pre-33 gold a bad rap. But, you know, for me, I'm a hedge stacker. I like to have a little bit of everything to kind of cover the different situations. And, you know, case in point is right now, constitutional silver's not been good to sell. It's been pretty bad.
Yeah.
And bars have been a lot better, but there's other times where bars don't do as well. And then there's time where gold does better or silver does better. So a couple of people in the comments were like, well, gold and silver are stupid because you can't sell them. I can still sell gold and silver. I don't have a problem here in Southern California. I know a lot of people are having it in the Midwest. We have melters that'll buy it. We have coin shops that'll still buy it. You know, it just depends on the market you're in, the business. No one stopped buying gold as far as I know, only silver. Maybe some shops stop buying everything because they're having a liquidity crunch. Shop around, go to another store. You know, I'll just throw this out real quick and then we'll run this for the giveaways. But you know, I do stuff with Andy Scheckman with Miles Franklin. So if you guys email him at info@milesfranklin.com, let him know StackingSurfer sent you. I know he's buying as much constitutional silver as he can get his hands on. He's also buying gold and silver, and he also hedges his metals. So he's got the ability to be, you know, more not risky, but he can absorb it easier.
Yeah, they got liquidity.
He's got liquidity. All right, real quick, super chats. We got 5 new memberships, so thank you, Brian, very much. We appreciate that. And then we've got one last question. This is from Jack Lyons. I worked on a design review for a hyperscale data center last week. Developers are going to go out of business. Many design red flags, but the big tech names have de-risked themselves financially. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of stuff like that. And then Josh, thank you for joining. We're going to go ahead and run this real quick, guys. So you're going to see it here. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on with data centers. I work for a company that does low code and AI and back-end systems. Chet Stacker, congratulations.
Yeah,
it's
congrats, Chet.
To have someone I've actually talked to.
Yeah.
Some random people on these things. So Chet, just send me your email again. I think I have it. Or email me again. Take a screenshot of this, send it. It's for a silver bit, and we'll send some fun stickers too. We've got the stacker community likes their stickers. So we've got these fun stickers here.
Yeah, nice.
And we've got little surfboard stickers. Boom, right there. All right, so that's for a silver bit. And then this next one's going to be for a poker chip, a StackingSurfer poker chip.
Nice.
So now you guys can take me to the game. You can take me to the game and maybe win some, you know, maybe it'll be your lucky poker chip.
I bought the 1 ounce silver dice. So I usually don't buy the.
Those would be fun.
Yeah. I want to play craps with them. To be honest, I
think that'd be fun. It'd be actually just the right weight too. Okay, McFly. So it's plutonium. Yes. It's not uranium, and we're only talking about uranium. I don't know if there's even a plutonium market that you can invest in. It's like weapons grade stuff.
Hey McFly.
But hey McFly. So congratulations. Take a screenshot. Email me StackingSurfer@gmail.com, and then let me know your mailing address so I can mail it off. I know I've been bad at getting everything out to guys. You guys, when you catch a wave, you ride the wave. Okay, we've had a wave going for 2 months that's basically been wiping me out. I need a little bit of consolidation so I can breathe.
Yeah.
I've got a full-time job and I do this on the side, and so the gauze will be going out either tomorrow or Monday. They're coming. I know a lot of you have emailed me. My email is just slam full. I'm going to be doing some new email systems soon so that all the gauze go into a specific email folder. There's so much junk mail that's strewn in there too. So that's for the poker chip. And then this is going to be for the other silver bit, this third one here. And then remind me what you won too. That always helps to remind me. I don't really have the ability to go back here and search this. Jack Lyons, that's awesome. You were participating a lot today. So it looks like the giveaway gods have been favorable to you guys. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for that. And Darrell, I want to thank you for coming on. Hopefully we can have you on again soon.
Yes, let's do it.
You know, it'd be great to do that. And I might even reach out to you to see if we can cross-pollinate a little bit with some of the guests you guys have and see if we can educate a lot of people. We've got a lot of stackers here. Some of them are thinking about getting into mining stocks. Others are, just looking for more information around the macro and where things are going. Guys, I'm going to tell you to, you can specialize into sectors like gold and silver. I wouldn't recommend ever buying 100% into one thing. For me, I keep it right now, I'm at about 20% of my portfolios in precious metals. And I also have other investments that I do. So to me, this is a good solid foundation. It's sound money. It helps with a lot of things, but if I can't sell them for a couple months, it's not going to kill me because I've got other ways of liquidating or other reserves. I like to have some cash on hand too. Thank you guys for coming. And until next time, peace out, and do check out Darrell's, both of his channels. I'll have VRIC added as well after the show. But take care and peace out, guys.
Thank you.